Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we just covered a lot of plans right now. Your Texas Survival Plan lists those 8 steps to help restaurants survive. Which of these can restaurants not live without right now?
So really, we put the plan in priority order, but I would say that restaurants need all 8 in order to survive. You know, when we're seeing iconic restaurants like Magnolia Cafe, Threadgill's, Shady Grove close, the question is no longer will restaurants close for good? The question is how many can we save? We put together this plan with all 8 steps because that will give restaurants the best chance of success over the long term. And so we're really asking Governor Abbott and the Texas legislature to step up and enact all 8.
Now, do you all have an ideal timeline for this?
Yeah, it's a great question. We created this plan to address restaurants' immediate needs. We're seeing restaurants reopen, which is great, but if they're going to stay open, they really need capital and revenue coming in now. They closed for at least 6 weeks. We know that their revenue is down 60 to 70%. And so there's a real urgency and a real immediate need, which is exactly why we called it the Texas Restaurant Survival Plan. So we would ask for Governor Abbott to enact these proposals as soon as possible. And we would also ask that they be kept in place throughout the duration of this recovery, because we know it's going to be a gradual recovery.
Yeah, like you mentioned, there's just so much going into this plan. What could be the most challenging step to get this all implemented?
I think the most challenging thing is going to be to make this a priority. Governor Abbott and the legislature are dealing with so many challenges right now. There's a lot of hurt and there's a lot of need. But we feel like when you look at the data, restaurants were Texas's second largest private sector employer, and we know they're one of the hardest, if not the hardest, hit industries. And so we really feel like they deserve to be made a priority in this recovery efforts, and that's going to be our message.
Now, we mentioned earlier, we've seen numerous staples here in Austin close for good. You're talking about saving as many restaurants as we can in the near future. Do you have an exact number of how this plan could help out local places?
Absolutely. We're constantly running surveys and accumulating data. We think right now that 12% of our restaurants have closed for good. And we worry as many as 30% or more will close if we stick to our current trajectory. So that's really why we need the state to step up with aid dollars that we're getting from the federal government. Texas is going to get over $6 billion from the Federal CARES Act. So we're just asking for a small portion of that money to go to one of our hardest hit sectors, and then for the regulatory relief that will allow restaurants to, again, be successful in the future with a post-COVID environment.
Now, wanting the state to step up, have you all had any response from local or state leaders on this plan?
Sure. So the reactions are just now trickling in. We got this plan to the governor and members of the legislature right before the holiday weekend. We received several responses that were very favorable and a lot of interest in really studying the details and getting into the weeds, which we greatly appreciate. So far, the feedback has been positive, and we really hope to build our momentum. We're using the hashtag SaveTXRestaurants on Twitter, because we know Texans all across the state care about their restaurants and want to see them rebuild. So we're really creating a grassroots movement, and we'll keep up the pressure until restaurants get what they deserve.
All right, Kelsey, well, all good information. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.